Welcome back. We are going to be getting you an absolutely shocking and disturbing story from the national capital, and we also advise our viewers that the visuals are indeed extremely disturbing. It's about how the young girl was stabbed to death in broad daylight. She was a young 22-year-old girl. She was murdered brutally. And this incident very shockingly happens on a crowded street. It happened at 9 in the morning. And all of this has been caught on CCTV image. It's a ghastly incident that has been caught on camera, where you can see a man who is seen stabbing this young woman brutally and repeatedly. And all of this is happening on a crowded street, and not one person comes to her rescue. In fact, one of them did try to help her, but he also, along with the others, ran for their lives. And as I said, this happened at 9 in the morning in a very crowded area, and it happened we believe that there's a police station that was very close to where this incident has taken place. This person, the attacker, her assailant, has been identified as a 34-year-old man, and he committed this horrific crime because the victim had rejected his advances. So spurned lover there seeking revenge by committing this gruesome act. We have with us Arthur Khan for more on this. Arthur, I just spoke to you about the barbarity with which he carried out this act. But can you just tell me if the police has arrested this person? Who is this person?
Yes, that's right. This person has been arrested, Avantika, and since it was a sensational incident which was reported, and it's indeed shocking. People, in fact, in the area are also moved by this incident. So that's why the police had to act very swiftly. Now they have arrested this person. Now his name apparently is Surendra. He's being questioned as to why he has brutally killed this woman. Apparently, initial reports suggest that the victim used to go and she was doing some sort of computer training at Surendra's center. He was running a cyber center where she used to visit. Now it appears that he had made certain advances towards the victim, but she did not approve of it, and that's why he has indulged in this sort of violence. But clearly, the police has arrested him, and this person will, of course, be booked for the murder under Section 302. So police are still interrogating this man to get more details about this incident.
So stay with me. A grisly crime caught on camera. We have with us India Today's editor Shiv Arur, just to take us through the visuals that we're seeing right now. Over to you, Shiv.
Broad daylight in northeast Delhi's Burari area, a crowded commercial area of the national capital. As you can see, it's not some secluded street, not a dark street. Broad daylight on this street, and this is the crime that's actually taking place. He starts by stabbing her 3 times. She falls to the ground. You see a couple of people try and approach, looking at him. He continues to stab her repeatedly, killing her right there on the spot. More disturbing, even more disturbing than the crime itself, the fearlessness of this particular crime, are the people standing around. Take a look at the people standing around. There's a man on a scooter who sees the crime. He whizzes by. Another man tries to approach, initially tries to approach, thinking he might have something, might be able to help. And he backs off as well. All of these people, these 2 people simply run away. 2 more people walk past all the time, watching that woman being stabbed to death. This man with a backpack tries to approach the 2, then decides against it and simply just runs off. So you've got at least 5 people in broad daylight in our national capital watching a 22-year-old girl being stabbed to death 21 times. All of it caught on CCTV camera, and not a soul actually tries to intervene. That man runs away after this crime. He has been arrested, but consider for a moment 2 things. The fact that this is broad daylight, this is the national capital, and there's absolutely no fearlessness of the law.
And we have with us Arthur Khan, who is taking us through every update and information. Arthur, the visuals are absolutely spine-chilling. It's so gruesome and frightening. One can't believe that such an incident could have taken place in the morning. Imagine, one just assumes that all these incidents of crime happens, post-midnight or in dark, isolated areas. But just take a look, and Burari, in fact, is in North Delhi.
Well, absolutely, Avantika. It's a very worrying trend which is happening not just in Delhi, India. It is happening worldwide. In fact, we have reports of incidents of a man stabbing several persons in the U.S. also. So clearly now the security is now reduced to just a state of mind. It appears it's a brutal murder which has happened in broad daylight in Burari, in the capital, and it happened so quickly. Avantika, there were some people who dared to go and save the victim, but of course the man who was
okay, just stay with me. We also have with us, Athar, just stay with me. We have with us noted activist Kavita Krishnan, who joins us for more on this. Ma'am, I'm sure you've seen these visuals, your response, and don't you think that, there is something alarming that's going on in the national capital?
It's alarming, yes, but I don't think it's only about the national capital and so on. I think the really alarming thing here is that, even after laws against stalking and so on, and against violence against women, we actually haven't created a situation where we are able to prevent such incidents, which means that usually, and about this incident, we know very little about this latest incident, but even in another very similar recent incident of stabbing of a woman, we know that, it was preceded by stalking, and that someone was out on bail after a stalking complaint, and he continued with it. So are we really treating the initial symptoms and signals of violence against women properly, with due promptness, with due seriousness? And those are the questions that we need to ask. We will, of course, once we know more about this particular incident, we will be able to, talk in greater detail about what this entails. But I think that this kind of a performance of violence against women, the public performance of violence against women, this is something which is emerging as a phenomenon also, where graphic violence against women
ma'am, where is the problem? Where is the problem? I mean, do you think that there is a serious issue that we need to deal with as a society? We need to, work on perhaps mindsets, on mentalities, on crowd reactiveness, crowd behavior?
I think we need to talk about changing and, the response of the authorities, the police, and speeding up our legal system, because people very often don't complain about things because they know it means years and years of a court case that will never end because it will go on for ages, and so on. So we need to do all of that. But along with that, I would also say that we need to also reflect that calling for, severe punishment, death penalty, that we have done all of that, and yet these things are not stopping. So clearly the answer does not lie there. The answer does not lie in simply, doing the easy thing, which is to hike up our cry for brutal punishment to avenge such killings.
Yes.
Rather, those brutal punishments also will reflect the same kind of mentality for public brutal performances of violence.
All right.
So we need to stop that, and we need to.
All right. Just stay with me. We also have with us Congress leader Kiran Walia now on the phone line. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. How would you respond? Another ghastly act that we are all getting to witness in the national capital. Shockingly, this man goes on a stabbing spree and no one comes to help this young girl.
Crime has increased 4 to 5 times from the previous years. NCR report. And who is watching? Who is protecting? What is the role of the police? What is the role of powers that be? It's shameful because not only crime against women, crime against children, crime against anybody, all sections of society. So here is a citizen of Delhi who is feeling terribly insecure. And as you hear the other day, this woman was murdered in broad daylight, only today's report. So therefore, what has happened is shocking, but I'm at the upset the day it will stop shocking people, because everybody is getting so nude, and therefore I think that we need to pull up our socks.
Okay, ma'am, just stay with me. Stay with me. We're getting a reaction from the witness. All right, just stay with me. Okay, ma'am, please go ahead.
Children are being murdered by shopkeepers. They said तुमने पहले के पैसे नहीं दिए. Broad daylight में. We had started a program called Awaaz Uchao, where we wanted the community involvement, and the Delhi government also, another pack of people who are in the same way, have disbanded and dismantled that program.
No, so are you suggesting? No, ma'am. Are you suggesting?
Of the powers that be. The citizens are left
Ms. Kiran Walia.
To fend for themselves. And every day we ask for some policeman will be suspended, somebody will be transferred. What about those which are not highlighted in the media? And this one, we will really have to, like myself would take interest
Right,
after what
I
you
heard
have
your
informed
point.
me.
Yes, ma'am.
And sorry, the Aam Aadmi Party, which came with scandalized for a Nirbhaya case, has not even bothered to ask her mother. I am in touch with her as to what's happening about the case.
Right.
So all this,
No, ma'am, Ms. Kiran Walia, if I may intervene, let's not play the blame game right now. Nirbhaya incident happened while the Congress was in power, and I don't want to get into that.
The man must do his job right up to the police commissioner.
Okay, may I
up
now
to the
ask
Prime
you a
Minister.
question, Ms. Kiran Walia? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, Ms. Kiran Walia, can you hear me? All right. Okay, but let's just shift focus to that incident. And before we go to the incident, we have a reaction from an eyewitness. Let's just listen into what the eyewitness has to say.
वो लड़का जो था आदित्य मलिक रोहिणी का रहने वाला, वो मेरी बहन को परेशान कर रहा था। कम से कम भी एक 6 महीने पहले कंप्लेंट हुई थी, तो उस टाइम कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो गया था हालात देख के। उसके बाद उसने छेड़ना बंद कर दिया। आज ऐसा टाइम आ गया कि उसने बहन के चाकू मार दिया।
Atir, I just got a chance to speak to Kiran Walia, and she obviously played the blame game card. But let's just take a look at the overall picture. Do you think that perhaps the focus seems to have shifted? We've seen the sparring between the LG, the government, the centre. Really, do you think that priority seems to be all over the place of the existing government that is responsible to ensure that everyone, lives peacefully in the national capital?
Well, you see, Avantika, a different holistic approach needs to be taken in such incidents where, a person, a psychic person, you cannot have a policeman marked to each and every citizen in the capital.
Okay, just stay with me. Stay with me, Atir. Just stay with me. We have the former DGP also now on the phone line. Vikram Singh, sir, thank you so much for your time. We've been getting a lot of reactions, political reactions. I don't want to really go into the usual blame game, because what we are seeing on our screens, sir, it is appalling. It's horrific. It's, one of the most gruesome crimes that we are getting to see for ourselves. How do you respond? Okay, we have lost that line now. We will try and get back to the former DGP Vikram Singh, but we saw the visuals of the family members in a state of absolute shock. They understandably are grieving and mourning the death of this 22-year-old young girl who has so tragically lost her life. Adir Khan is with us. Okay, we have with us now Vikram Singh, who is back with us on the phone line. Sir, thank you so much. How do you respond? Shocking incident coming to light.
Terrible, Avantika, tragedy, but a tragedy that could possibly have been averted. Now, the police have a double job. Apart from chalaning these accused under the provisions of the IPC and the CRPC, the police have to see whether there is any psychological problem with the accused or not. And if there's a psychotic eruption, then it is the bounden duty of the police to give psychiatric help to such patients. Until the time they are not absolutely fine, they jolly will stay behind bars. In the present case, unfortunately, this person got bail. The police took this case very rightly and in a routine manner, whereas they should have run the extra mile because of the additional and the extra dimension in such cases. He stabbed her 30 times.
Yes.
Did they not have the eyes to see that it is a very unusual kind of an incident? A very incident. Even the first case, you have been stalking a lady for years. Is it not something so very horrific and abnormal? The police should come down. Any person who stalks, he cannot be on bail till the time the psychiatrist says that he is now normal and fit to be outside the bars.
So, but
till the time he's not cured, he should be behind
so
bars.
the problem, it seems, is deep-rooted. Are the police hand-tied? Are they bound by the rules in, the law books? Where is the problem? And I don't really want to squarely put the blame on the cops, because there's a moral responsibility of each and every citizen as well. Just take a look at the visuals, passers-by, nobody coming to help this young girl.
Avantika, I have seen so many of such cases, and wherever I've been, God be my witness, I've treated every such person like my own daughter. And anybody who goes for a misadventure of throwing acid or stalking, that was the last time he tried this misdemeanor, because the police has it in themselves. They have the wherewithal and the power and the authority to give such a message and a punishment that they will never for 7 generations look that way. But if you treat it as an average criminal, as a part of your routine duty, unfortunately such cases will recur.
All right, sir, thank you so much for joining us and, giving us your reactions as well. We will have to take a very short break. A very tragic incident that we are reporting right here on India Today about how this young woman was stabbed more than 10, 15, 20 times, in fact, by a spurned lover. Details in just a bit. Stay tuned.
You are watching India Today.
किसी भी लड़की को किसी भी लड़के के साथ बैठकर शराब नहीं पीनी चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर वो ऐसा करती है, लड़के को ये इंडिकेट होता है कि अगर लड़की मेरे साथ बैठकर शराब पी सकती है तो वो उसके साथ सोने के लिए भी कतराएगी नहीं।
The new Micra CVT automatic with European-styled black interiors. Nissan.
क्यों घबरा गए जनाब? चोरी तो चोरी है, कुछ न छुपाओ, सब इनकम दिखाओ। इनकम डिक्लेरेशन स्कीम का फायदा उठाओ। कुल 45% टैक्स भरने से मिलेगी राहत इंक्वायरी, स्क्रूटनी और प्रोसिक्यूशन से। तो अब समय न गवाएं, अपनी अघोषित आय को 30 सितंबर 2016 तक डिक्लेयर करें। आप करें योगदान, बढ़ाएं अपना सम्मान।
I must also say, confess that you and I have something in common at last.
Okay.
I'm doing a quiz show.
Right. Oh yes, of course.
Called News Whiz for school children. No one is as much of a perfectionist as you are. So you've got to give me a tip as a quiz master. What makes a good quiz master?
So my tip to you is just follow Siddharth Basu, because him and his entire team, they're very qualified. They take care of everything, which you must have realized.
All
you have to do is just recite the lines that they've asked you to recite. That's it.
Presented by Tiago from Tata Motors. It's fantastical. Academic partner, Lovely Professional University. Think big. Reading partner, Kindle, for the love of reading. In association with National Insurance, trusted since 1906. Epson ink tank printers, the only way to print. Eyeball Comp Book, open up to world-class laptops.
Nature wants everyone to have their own shelter, whether it's a stylish designer home or a conversation-filled duplex. At PNB Housing, with easy online access, doorstep delivery, and an amazingly friendly service, the door to your dream home opens easier with us. PNB Housing Finance.
धोनी के टैलेंट को मिला एक मौका, और आज धोनी का नाम पूरी दुनिया जानती है। अब बारी है आपकी।
अपना नाम इंटरनेट पर GoDaddy से लीजिए, बढ़े चलो GoDaddy।
You are watching India Today.
Welcome back. We're getting an extremely shocking story from the national capital, how a young girl was stabbed in the early morning hours. She was 22-year-old and she was stabbed to death by a spurned lover. She had rejected his advances earlier on. He had been stalking her for, several months. And there was a compromise as well. The family members did intervene, yet we can see what it led to. This man has been identified as Aditya Malik. He is a 34-year-old. He hails from Rohini, and there he is attacking this woman, stabbing her repeatedly 21 times, and nobody had the guts, no one had the courage to approach the attacker and stop him from committing this barbaric act. Indeed, an extremely tragic story that we are getting to you. Let's just, help you understand the sequence of events. We have with us India Today's editor Shivarur just to take us through what exactly happened in Burari.
broad daylight in northeast Delhi's Burari area, a crowded commercial area of the national capital. As you can see, it's not some secluded street, not a dark street, broad daylight on this street, and this is the crime that's actually taking place. He starts by stabbing her 3 times. She falls to the ground. You see a couple of people try and approach, looking at him. He continues to stab her repeatedly, killing her right there on the spot. More disturbing, even more disturbing than the crime itself, the fearlessness of this particular crime, are the people standing around. Take a look at the people standing around. There's a man on a scooter who sees the crime. He whizzes by. Another man tries to approach, initially tries to approach, thinking he might have something, might be able to help. And he backs off as well. All of these people, these 2 people simply run away. 2 more people walk past, all the time watching that woman being stabbed to death. This man with a backpack tries to approach the 2, then decides against it and simply just runs off. So you've got at least 5 people in broad daylight in our national capital watching a 22-year-old girl being stabbed to death 21 times. All of it caught on CCTV camera, and not a soul actually tries to intervene. That man runs away after this crime. He has been arrested, but consider for a moment 2 things. The fact that this is broad daylight, this is the national capital, and there's absolutely no fearlessness of the law.
Absolutely no fearlessness of the law and order. And just take a look at the state of affairs in the national capital. This is happening in Delhi, a murder in broad daylight, and not even in the afternoon. It was in the early morning hours at about 9 in Burari. This attacker, in fact, even had been, passing a lot of comments. The lady had rejected his advances in the past, and that's exactly what had, angered him, which led him to commit an act like this. We have a reaction from her brother. This is what he has to say.
सर, वो लड़का जो था आदित्य मलिक रोहिणी का रहने वाला, वो मेरी बहन को परेशान कर रहा था. कम से कम भी 6 महीने पहले कंप्लेंट हुई थी, तो उस टाइम कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो गया था हालात देख के. उसके बाद उसने छेड़ना बंद कर दिया. आज ऐसा टाइम आ गया कि उसने मेरी बहन के चाकू मार दिया.
Well, we are now joined by India Today's correspondent Ilma for more on this. Ilma, we've just all been so upset with the shocking visuals that we're all getting to see. Any more details on this person who has been arrested now by the police? And understandably, her family members would be in a state of shock.
Absolutely, Avantika. The family is absolutely shocked by the incident, and there aren't many details that are trickling in as of now. All we know is that the man, who was 34 years old, had been stalking her for a year. And despite the fact that the family made repeated complaints, there was nothing that could be done. And this morning at around 9 o'clock, in a fit of rage, we don't know what happened, but he stabbed her nearly 22 times. The family is really shocked by the incident. They want, they're demanding strict punishment for the accused. But that's all we know so far.
One thing that really surprises me is how easily these men are let off by the police who have been accused of stalking a lady. And this is not just in Delhi, it's everywhere across the country, which, raises questions for the need for severe laws, for very strong laws. And that's perhaps, why these men commit such acts.
Yes, Avantika, you're absolutely right. It repeatedly keeps happening, and sometimes the families don't file a formal complaint because they're scared. This time, the families reached a resolution, the accused and the victim's families. So,
yes, absolutely, and absolutely frightful, frightening, visuals of this young woman who has been stabbed to death 21 times. By a spurned lover. She had rejected his advances several times in the past, and we have with us India Today's editor Shiv Arur, who has been getting us all the latest updates and information and taking us through these absolutely horrific visuals. Shiv, it's over to you.
Easily the most disturbing video in recent memory from India's national capital, Delhi. Broad daylight, a commercial built-up, populated part of the city, and here you've got 22-year-old Karuna, who is works in a software company walking down the road, and the man who is killing her is a 34-year-old who was in love with her, apparently a stalker of some kind, who accosts her on this road, and as you can see, he stabs her more than 20 times, all in broad daylight, all in a crowded part of the city. There are even people around them as this crime is committed in northeast Delhi, in the Burari area of northeast Delhi. She comes walking down, is accosted, stabbed twice in the stomach. She falls down. There's a pool of blood around her, and this man, this 34-year-old, continues to stab her 21 times. As disturbing, if not more, than the crime itself. Take a look at the people around. This is the scariest part. You've got 2-3 people here walking simply past this crime. They see it. There's a person on a scooter as well who watches this crime, does nothing, reacts nothing at all. Simply they just walk past. A man with a backpack as well. He tried to approach thinking that he could perhaps help, then decides against it. Take a look at him. He goes right there, sees what's happening, and then simply runs away. Spectator syndrome alive and well in the national capital. Broad daylight, I cannot say this enough. Broad daylight, a stalker is fearless enough to stab a woman 22 times. He's been arrested now, but the fact that he thought he could get away with something like this is truly, truly shocking. And all of these people who simply watched that woman die, that gruesome death, and did absolutely nothing.
Absolutely, Shiv. Extremely disturbing visuals of how this young woman was stabbed 21 times by a 34-year-old man who hails from Rohini. We will continue to update our viewers with all the information and updates that we're getting on this particular news, but right now we'll have to take